Hello, lovelies. Sophia here. You've probably heard me talking on the podcast about how I run writing workshops with my team at a wonderful small business called Firefly Creative Writing. So before we get started with this episode, I want to let you know that I've created a new workshop coming up this fall, specifically for listeners of this podcast who are interested in exploring the fat experience through writing. It's called, no surprise, the Fat Joy Workshop. And it's where I get to bring together my love and passion for body liberation, deep conversations, community building, and creative writing. Like all the workshops we run at Firefly, this is about connecting to the pleasure of writing. And you don't need to have any writing experience to do that. I'll be guiding us step by step through everything we do. So if you're feeling interested, but also a bit nervous, know that that's totally normal and we've got you. Firefly has a beautiful way of bringing people together and creating brave, authentic spaces where big things can happen. This episode's conversation is such a powerful reminder of the power of writing our own experiences as fat people, of telling our stories in our own words, and entrusting our voices. The Fat Joy Workshop is specifically designed for people who identify as fat and have experienced stigma based on their body size. The workshop is also a cozy space. We keep this workshop at 7 participants. So if you want a spot in the workshop, please go ahead and book it soon because it will fill up pretty quickly. And I'm also so happy to be able to gift you $50 off the workshop with the offer code FATJOY. So check out the workshop at fireflycreativewriting.com. Link and the offer code are in the show notes, so you can get it there. And I really hope we get the chance to do some writing together. Enjoy the rest of the episode. Hello, lovelies. Welcome to the Fat Joy podcast, where we talk each week about how to flourish in an anti-fat world. I'm Sophia, Apostol, a fat professional coach who loves talking to other fat people about what it's like to live within oppressive systems that marginalize our bodies, and how we still dare to have the audacity and courage to reach towards our collective liberation and embrace our joy. Please know this is an adult content podcast, so there will be swears, we will be talking about harms we've experienced, and we will be rebelling against weight stigma, diet culture, fatphobia, ableism, racism, etc. You can get more Fat Joy goodness, including how you can support the podcast, through my newsletter at fatjoy.substack.com. And for episode transcripts, book reviews, and show notes, head to the Fat Joy website at fatjoy.life. I am so glad you're here. Enjoy this episode. Hello, lovelies. Welcome back to the Fat Joy podcast. With me today, I almost want a drum roll, but I'm not even going to do it with my mouth because that would be horrible. So imagine a drum roll. Is Elle Baez. Hello, Elle.
Hi, what's up?
I'm so excited to talk to you. I've loved your music for a while. I've been watching your music videos. And it's just, God, it is so nice to see fat bodies normalized, doing things, lots of bikinis and lingerie, like sexy fat bodies in a way that I certainly have never seen before on a music video. And just your whole, I was looking at your website and it was called soul pop vibe. So rooted in love and deserving and that, hey, we get to honor ourselves. It's so powerful, Elle. So I'm very excited to dive in and talk to you. And I'm just so happy you're here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. What an introduction. Okay.
Well, tell us a little bit about who you are. Obviously, you're a singer. What else?
I am a singer-songwriter. I write my music. It is, like you said, I call it pop with soul. I've always just loved big voices and that soul and that gut. So I sing with that immense power. And I like writing songs that are rooted in empowerment, self-love, body positivity, and like those raw feelings. Um, and yeah, I have songs out. I have music videos out. I also am a big advocate on my platforms in general for body positivity and self-love and inclusion. And yeah, that's a little about me. I'm also Latina, so Puerto Rican and Dominican, and I really love to represent my culture as well. So
Yeah, I love that. I was driving the other day and I was listening to your song Fuego, which has that gorgeous like Latin beat to it. And I was just like dancing while I was driving. It was probably dangerous, but I really love when you can hear like the cultural roots like showing up in your songs. It's so, so lovely. I mean, this idea of being raw, bringing your power, bringing your soul through your voice, through your writing out into the world. I have to imagine, I'm not wrong about this, but I imagine that was a bit of a journey for you. It probably didn't start when you were 10. Like how did you get from, I'm really curious about how you were as a kid. And then what was the process to like, oh no, now I'm going public and loud and raw about body positivity, about self-love. Like, what was that journey for you, especially with the word fat? Because you actually use the word fat. You say fat is not a bad word.
but I'm a bad bitch. Yeah. So I did not just wake up one day and be like, yeah, time for me to be fully confident and body positive. I always say my music is my healing process. And what got me to this point in my life and my career has been a lot. So I've been singing actually since I was about literally coming out the womb, like 3 years old. Like I've been in a very musical family. My dad was a DJ in the 70s. Yes. He was like disco DJ. My parents were competitive disco dancers. Yeah, so this is real. And my older brother is a jazz percussionist. My dad played the sax. Like I just grew up with so much music in my house. And my abuela sang too. It was just everywhere. And I grew up singing everywhere I could. I started doing theater. I started just jumping into everything I could possibly do to get on stage and perform and sing. And this kind of coincided with me being bullied. So I would say majority of my elementary, middle, and high school career, I was bullied. A lot of fat jokes, exclusion from a lot of friend groups. I literally had friends tell me they wouldn't be my friend anymore because I looked different. Crazy. And it was rooted in both things, actually, because I grew up in a very predominantly white town as well. So I just never really fit in a lot of aspects. And singing is what healed me and made me feel safe. And I was actually very, very shy in real life because I was so bullied and so ostracized. But for some reason, when I got up to sing on a stage, I was able to open myself and be free. And a lot of teachers actually would come see me in a show and they come up to me after the show and be like, who are you? Like, you don't speak in class. And you're up there like being a whole character. Like, who are you? And I'd be like, oh yeah, like that's just, I don't know. And I don't know why. It just really, really let me feel like I could be me. And I originally was pursuing theater and that was my goal. I was like, I'm going to do Broadway and all this stuff. But that world was so fatphobic and very dangerous and triggering for me. Trigger warning, did develop a lot of eating disorders. I tried for so long to lose so much weight. I was at a very dangerous weight. And once I actually left that industry and I set myself free and I started to write songs, like I'd written them my whole life, but I didn't take it as seriously until around college when I was really experiencing all of these terrible things. And once I realized that I could write my own music and just sing it, and I didn't have to be a certain size or look a certain way, and I could just be me, that's when I found myself. And I've been doing it ever since. So that's my journey.
That's amazing. I had another guest on who was in the dance world, and she said something very similar, like, and it was like she was in classical dance. She also was going the theater route, and yeah, said something very similar around. It was so like there was so much anti-fat bias. There were all these assumptions that her body could never do the things that, the producers or directors or theater, I don't know the terms, but like the theater leaders would want the body to do. The theater gods. Oh, and did you have to go through a grieving process? Because it sounds like you had to let go of a real dream.
Yeah, I think it wasn't as much of a grieving process, actually, because once I found the music industry, I kind of found it by accident. I mean, I'd always loved pop stars and always idolized them and would dream of being a pop star, but I didn't think I could become one unless a record deal came through. I didn't really know you could actually be an independent artist and just make your own music and put it out. And I found out because I was singing background vocals for a friend in my program's like music program. I went to NYU and I was in the musical theater program, but there was the Clive Davis Music Institute, which is like recorded music. So I went there and I sang some background vocals, and the producer was sitting there and he turned to me and was like, "You should be a singer." And I was like, "Well, yeah, I'm a singer, like whatever." He was like, "No, you need to record an album and put it out." I said, "I can't do that. I don't have a record deal." And he said, "No, you could just do it." And when I found that out, I just flew. I started right. And I love it. Like, I love Broadway and I'll always have that piece of my heart, but I love music and writing my own songs and making a whole music art, like music videos, the art behind it, the visuals. It's so much cooler to me and it's so much more right for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I hear too, you get to do like all these different parts of the creative process. You get to like craft the message, build all of the accompaniment, like all of the sound that goes with it. And then the visual piece too. You get like the fullness of the whole, of all of it. You get like full control, full creative control.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you're not signed. So I don't know very much about the music world. So you are an independent artist. Would you want a record deal? Like, is that the goal for most artists?
I would say it's a very big goal. I think I have two goals. One side of my goal is a record deal. It would make my life so much easier because once you have the record deal, you have the funding to be able to get yourself in those rooms and on those tours and in those places that it's really difficult to when you're self-funded. And my other twofold though is I would love to be able to keep building as much as I'm building on my own and get to a point where I don't need a record label and I'm self-sufficient 100%. Well, I guess it's either one of those. Yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar with Mary Lambert and her music, but I talked with Mary Lambert on the podcast a couple of months ago, and she was with Capitol Records, and she talks in the podcast about how they basically wanted her to essentially be Katy Perry. And she's like, I can't be Katy Perry. I'm fat. I have a very different vibe. I'm queer. Like, but she said it was really, it was challenging to, at that point, this is years ago, I think, but so hopefully it's different now. I don't know, but like the label wanted her to conform to these almost like very marketable, to become a very marketable brand, which meant she had to look a certain way, sound a certain way, do certain things. So it was a bit of a loss of control, really. And they ended up splitting from each other. There was a little bit of a breakup. Yeah. So I imagine there is like that pro con thing, whereas if you are fully independent, then you get to, to fully be. Whereas if you're working with a record company and have a deal, there is a bit of a, like they want to market you. They want to, capitalize on on you, right? But you get such a huge platform that way too. So I really feel the pro con there.
Yeah. I think my big goal is to find a record company that really understands me and who I am and can fully stand by it and back me up and isn't going to try to make me into something else. Cause I've had so many industry people to this day, even when they hear my music, say, oh, yeah, you need to lose a little weight.
I was going to ask about that. If you get that comment like all the time.
All the time. And I'm like, do you not listen to my songs? Like, what? I don't understand. And it's something where I've had to slowly regain weight from all of trauma I've been through and find myself comfortable in what my body is. And like, that's why I write the songs I write. Because if you listen to my lyrics, you'll hear it. It's literally me discussing this through and through. So yeah, the industry is very, very hard. And it's like I left one industry and entered another one where there are similar things going on.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's so representative of our world, right? Like the systemic oppression around fatness, like it is everywhere. It's in medical, it's in the workplace. And I think because you like the entertainment industry, you're so visible, that I can imagine that I was really curious, especially because again, in that song, I Love My Body, you talk about like Ozempic and none of that bariatric. And like you're like saying, no, you're taking a firm stand. Like that is not what I'm about. I am here to love my body as it is. And that's it shouldn't be, but it is radical.
Yeah. And kind of what you were saying with the word fat, that for me, like being told for so long, which is why the lyric is fat's not a bad word, told my whole life, you're fat. And me thinking I was this disgusting, like horrible thing. And finally being able to heal myself and be like, oh yeah, I'm fat and I'm hot. And you're going to deal with it. And you're going to see me. Because people can't stand seeing a fat person happy, good looking, living their life. Like it irks them to their core.
Right? Yeah. When did you discover that? Like at what point in your process did you realize, oh, it's not me, it's them?
Let's see. I feel like there was something that happened to me like about maybe 2 years ago where I was out with my boyfriend and it was Halloween and we were dressed in these costumes. I posted about it on my TikTok actually. And this girl walked in and we were in a bagel store. It was like midnight and we had been out drinking, obviously, and everyone's getting bagels. This is Brooklyn and everyone's, and we remember from we're splitting a bagel, which is even funnier. And this girl walks in and sees me and my boyfriend. And she was just like, are you pregnant? And I was like, no. And then and I knew immediately as soon as she asked that question, I was like, oh God. And then she goes, ew, you're so fat and gross. And I don't understand why you would be with her, and points to my boyfriend. My boyfriend's good looking. He's pretty cute. And she was just like, you're doing charity work. I don't understand why you're with her. Screaming this in a bagel shop. And obviously I was like, this was like a really hard moment for me. So I left very upset. But then I like really reflected on that moment. And it was one of the most telling moments of this girl could not stand that I had a boyfriend and that I was fat and that we were together eating a bagel in a bagel shop. And she was skinny and she probably there was no man's with her. So she couldn't take it. And I mean, if we all are learning from a young age that fat is bad and that we should be skinny and on all these diets and doing all these things, when you see a fat person who isn't doing those things, who is okay, it can really mess with your mind. And in a way, it's not even their fault. It's just that society taught them that. And I've taken the time to reverse that learning, but it took time. Also, I read Fearing the Black Body. That book was my turning. When I read that book just completely altered everything.
Yeah, because it's all a fucking construct by aristocratic English people, white dudes. It's like, are you kidding me? We are suffering for hundreds of years because of some old white dudes. It's brutal. Yeah. I talk about that book like all the time on this podcast, so that will be no surprise to people. It's like, yeah, it's because once you see how it's a construct, you see how ridiculous it is. And personally, my big struggle these days is being astonished that not everyone can see through the construct, and that there are still awful conversations with family and friends about this, and like they just can't get it. And like I'm just like, but can't you see? Like if I had one wish, it would be that everyone in the world would see through systems of oppression, racism, ableism, like all of it. Like let's just pull back the curtain in a big way, because yeah, people are so resistant to seeing it. Yeah.
Imagine if like on our reading lists was Fearing the Black Body from a young age.
Right. I know. Wouldn't it be great? Yeah. And well, instead, schools, especially, in the States right now, are going the opposite direction, getting rid of all, oh my God. So that I can imagine that moment. And I love that led though to you working through something huge for yourself and being like, oh, got it. I can see what's happening here. Yeah. I'm curious about your family. Like, are other people in your family fat? Were you the only fat person? Like, what was the family vibe like around fatness?
Yeah. So both my parents are plus size. They're fat. I would say that they weren't always, though. That's the thing. They're new fat. So I think it was more like in their probably like 30s and 40s, they started gaining weight and they've been fat since then. But photos of them when they got married in their 20s and they're disco dancing, like they were skinny. So, but like on my dad's side, one of his sisters is plus size, and even my abuela, she got older, was fat. And I think it's just like in our genes. I think it's very much in my culture. Also Latinas, a lot of us are plus size, like that's just what it is. And I think though that since my mom wasn't fat for majority of her youth, seeing me be young and fat for her, I don't think it was a bad thing in her mind, but I think it was a good thing. Oh no, we need to fix this. So that's where a lot of my things that I sing about stem from. So I went to fat camp.
Oh, you did? You're a fat camp survivor. Oh my God. What was that like? How old were you when you went to fat camp?
I'm not going to lie, looking back on it, how old was I? I think I was 13 and then I went twice. So I think I was 13 and then 15. So I was not that young. So I was but still, it was a lot. And I did like every single diet under the sun before that. So I think it was kind of like, what else do we do? We'll send her to fat camp. Like, okay. But I actually loved fat camp. There's bad sides to it. I think it actually is what created my ED like in the future of my life, because they had us like writing down every single little micro thing you ate, like I know so much. People think fat people don't know a lot about health. I know so much.
Yeah, you cannot like calorie a fat person. Like we know points, we know calories, and we know macros, we know carbs. Like food math, you can't out food math a fat person.
I could look at something and tell you how many calories it probably has, like a whole plate. So
Totally. Yeah, I know. I will say, I don't know if you've experienced this, but like for me, when I kind of started, my body positive journey and led into fat liberation work, like the food math has now dropped from my brain. It has gone. And I'm so glad because it took probably like 5 years for it to be, because now I'm like, oh gosh, I don't know anymore. I'm so happy I don't know. But it's like, it's so ingrained in there, right?
yeah, I actually as well, I think in the past, when I was going through that, I knew exactly how many calories I ate in a day. Even if I wasn't writing it down, my brain was just adding. Yeah. And I don't do that anymore at all. I actually have no clue how many calories I eat in a day. And I also used to weigh myself every morning. I threw out my scale. So it's been really, really, like I said, rewiring transformation. So
Yeah. Was the nice part of fat camp that you were with other fat kids?
yes, that's exactly
It was like fat community.
I loved it. Like it was so much fun.
Yeah.
We had a blast at fat camp. Oh my God. And there was boys. I was living it up at fat camp. Just imagine. That was me.
You were like the belle of the ball at fat camp. I love that. And like I actually, again, another guest I had on, there are like fat camps now that have been like reclaimed. Like fat people as adults are running fat camps, as in not for weight loss, but like for fat community and to just like revel in the fatness.
What?
Yeah.
God know this.
Yeah. There's 2 women who I spoke with who founded Camp. Oh no, I'm going to get it wrong. Camp Roundup. Yeah. And I've been seeing more and more showing up. It's like, yeah, come to fat camp, but it's like a totally liberated version. And how healing, right?
That's amazing.
I know.
Wow.
I know.
Because that was the positive part of it, was that. So
yeah,
to have that, but not have the weekly weigh-ins, and we had like boards at my fat camp, and it like would show your progress. It was like ridiculous.
It's kind of like Biggest Loser style.
Yo, it was insane.
Yeah. Wow. Was it weeks? Like how long were you there for?
Yeah, I think I was there for 8 weeks.
Oh my God, like a whole summer.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. I can just imagine your body like weight cycling down and then bouncing back up and like, oh God. Oh yeah. That whole pattern starts, doesn't it? And then it just kind of keeps replicating, especially if your eating disorder gets activated too. Gosh. Yeah. Yeah. So when do you feel like it sounds like it was, I don't know, like how recently was it where you're like, nope, I'm done. I'm fat. I'm body positive. Here we go.
So I would say I really started to leave the theater world officially in 2018.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and that was when I was finishing college, and I started writing my own music, and then I put out my first single in 2019. And then, and you can even see the journey when you watch my music videos. You can see me like healing through being a fat girl. So, and then my first body positive single came out in 2020. And I think that was my big moment. That was when, it's called Paint Me. And that was when I really wanted to solidify myself as a body positive performer and advocate. And that's when I really started to allow myself to regain weight and really heal myself and embrace who I am through and through. And I think the past 4 years since then have really been just continuing to build that and finding myself even more and more every day. Yeah.
Yeah. There's definitely a theme that emerges in my conversations with people is like, that journey is never really complete. There's always like new levels of peace and acceptance. Like in your song, Pretty Insecurities, you're like, let me find my inner peace. And I love that song. because I'm like, right? Like, I feel like that is my constant inner journey is like, let me come back to peace, get aggravated, get annoyed, get rageful, and then back to peace. Like, please let me find my inner peace again. So it continues. I want to talk about your songs. Okay. So Your songs. I love your songs so much. So I Love My Body, obviously. Is this your biggest hit?
Yes.
Or just, okay, yeah. Like it is, I mean, Elle. I remember hearing it for the first time. I think I was like driving somewhere. I think it was the radio. And I like had tears in my eyes because it was like, yes, yes, yes. We need more. We need more voices claiming that our bodies are okay. So what's the origin of this song? Did it just come to you? Does it download? Like, I'm also a creative writing coach, so I'm always interested in like the creative process. Like, what is your process with your songwriting?
Okay, well, I'll talk about this song specifically, and then I'll talk about my process of songwriting, because that's a whole other thing.
Ah, cool. Okay, I love it.
This song was actually born from the craziest circumstance, which I can't go too deep into because it can get a little legal.
Oh, okay, yeah. Now I'm totally intrigued.
Basically, I had two body positive songs out, Paint Me and Stereotype. Those were my two really like clear fat positive songs, but I didn't have as clear as Love My Body yet. And there was a song that was going viral on TikTok and Instagram like 2 years ago. And I took the song and I made a remix of it. And I called the remix I Am Curvy. And it was a really cute thing. It went crazy viral on TikTok, like insanely viral. And I was actually requested by the artist to take it all down.
Oh.
Because I changed the lyrics to be body positive centric from the song itself. And yeah, I was requested by that artist's team that I needed to remove the entire thing from TikTok and everything. I was not monetizing off of it, but they still wanted me to take everything, because you don't make anything off of TikTok sound, but I had to take it all down. So when this happened, the body positive community on TikTok freaked out, and like people were making videos like, what the heck? And I had girls DMing me like, you don't understand, like that sound helped me with XYZ, and it helped me with healing myself. And that video I made was so hard for me to make, and all these things. And it was so crazy to me that this was touching so many people. And I was so upset that I had to take it all down. So I said, okay, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to write a freaking song of my own that has this exact same essence. And I started with the chorus, and it was, I gotta love my body. And like, that was the first thing I knew. And honestly, that night, the whole chorus just came out of me. That like affirmation chorus.
Oh, do you want to sing it? Can you sing it? Can you sing it? I have like goosebumps and tears. Sing it, sing it.
I gotta love my body and all the life it's brought me. And I gotta tell it's sorry for all the little bits I picked apart. This comes from the heart. I love you so. Time to hold you close and say I love my body.
Oh, like the line around all the little bits I've picked apart, like I could weep just because we're so mean to ourselves. And this song acknowledges that and almost is like an ask for forgiveness. And it's almost like, you know better, you do better, right? Like, forgive me, body. And I'm not going to harm you with Ozempic. We're not going to do bariatric. Here's what we're going to do instead. And it's like this beautiful, yeah, there's a whole arc to this song that is so powerful. And I love that chorus just dropped in the magic.
Yeah. And I will say in my songwriting process, thank you. In my songwriting process, a lot of my choruses, my hooks are what come to me, and they just kind of.
Yeah. I don't know if you've heard of a book called Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert, but she's a brilliant writer, and she taught that her whole book is about, basically, I'm just going to bottom line, but basically it's like all of these things are kind of in the ether. And when they come to us, our job is to open and be the conduit and let it come through, because otherwise it's going to float off to somebody else. And so what you're like, you just like, you grab it and you go with it. And she actually knew someone who was a poet, and literally the poems came through her backwards. like last line and second to last line. And like, so she would write them down and then reverse it. It's just like so weird. Isn't it wild? I think creativity is amazing and wild in that way.
I love that. And that explains it because it comes to me, and I have a lot of voice memos on my phone of like all these things that come to me. But the ones where I really feel, oh, this has to be made into a full song, I'll like asterisk and write good, must finish, blank, blank. So that after that, I brought it to my friend Josie, who's also a fat artist. And we had a co-write that day. And I said, listen, I have this chorus. I think it's a freaking hit. She heard it, goes, yes. We wrote the verses, made the song what it is.
And there it is.
Here we are.
Was it different enough from the TikTok artist version? Like there was no...
Oh, yeah. It's completely different. Everything's different. The only thing that's similar is that what I had written, I don't know how to explain it. What I had taken of her lyrics and rewritten into my lyrics has the same vibe. None of the lyrics are the same and none of anything is the same at all. Just matched auras.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. And how I love that that was like a springboard into creating your own really special thing that did go huge. Like it's been everywhere. Like I hear it all the time. Do you get sick of it? Or are you still like in like the glow of it all?
Oh no, I don't get sick of it. Yeah. I mean, any song that I put out is something that I love and I really believe in. And every day somebody else hears it and I get another message from someone about how much it's helped them. And that's what I do it for.
Isn't that the best when you get those messages?
They make me cry a lot.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure you get them too. Yeah.
I do. And it's so humbling. And also like, it makes me realize that it actually, I mean, I was going to say it doesn't take a lot. Of course it takes a lot. Like it takes a lot to do what you do, but also like really this person heard a song and it turned a switch on for them. Like that's amazing that you can have that kind of impact and influence. It's beautiful.
It's art.
Right? Thank you. It's art. Yeah. We have to talk about the music video for I Love My Body because I rewatched it again today before our chat. And I have never seen like for real fat bodies, like visibly fat bodies, apron bellies, big thighs, big breasts, like for like not like size 14 fat, like size 26, 28, 30 fat bodies in a music video. And that's my body. I'm a size 26. So like, and in like bikinis and lingerie and pajamas and like all of it and just moving and jiggling and so sumptuous and so sexy and so playful. What was that like? Like I have a whole bunch of questions. So let me start with what made you really clear that those were the kinds of bodies that you wanted? Because people will do curvy, quote unquote, but it'll be like size 14, 16. And that's not what this music video is. This is like, yeah, like fat, like really fat bodies.
Yeah. Well, that was honestly my number one thing when I decided to do I did an open casting call. And I knew, first of all, the amount of people that were using the sound was all different sizes and completely like I know there's like a fat spectrum. Some people believe in it, some people don't. But I had super fats, I had infinite fats. People were making stuff and I said, I want to have as much representation of each little thing as I can. And that was my goal. So, and I had so many submissions. I think I had over 300 submissions to be in this music video. And everyone made these incredible videos.
Oh God. How did you? That would be so hard. Did you want to just be like, okay, all of you come, let's have a big party and film it?
I really wanted to. I sadly couldn't because I had brands that could only dress so many people. So I really had to narrow it down. It was really hard. Everyone's videos were so good. But also, if I said something like, I'm going to have more music videos in the future, I'm going to be doing more things, and just because they weren't casting this one doesn't mean you're not going to be considered for future ones. And I still have everyone's videos and information. So, yeah. But no, I knew that for me especially, I've been so many different sizes. When I was really, really big, when I was younger, I was around like a 24, like similar to 26 to then I was down to like a 12 when I was in my peak ED. And now I'm like a 20. And I'm always fluctuating between all these different sizes. And when I see somebody that represents what my body is at that current moment, I just feel so like a breath of relief, and you feel representation, and representation for me is so, so important. So any little girl watching that video could see themselves in it. And that was it. And I'm so glad you said that, because that was what I wanted.
Oh, it was, this 44-year-old little girl was very excited to see her size 26 body represented. And I was like, oh, I think I need to go lingerie shopping. That was the other thought that I had too, because it was so hot. Yeah, it's just a beautiful, beautiful video. And I also want to talk about the video for Stereotype, because the fat girl pool party scene. Oh my God. What was that like doing that?
I think that was my first big, like, what the F, whatever. We can curse, but whatever. People, I think that was my big first step where it was like, what the fuck? Because I went for it. I said, I'm going to make a body positive. At this point, there was no music video with that many fat girls in it, like at all. And I said, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do a body positive pool party and have us all in our bikinis looking hot as F. And it was that day. The Love My Body Day too, honestly, are two of my favorite days of my entire life. Like, it just was so liberating and beautiful and healing. And a lot of those girls that were in that video were in my collective. So I have a collective called the Curvy Artist Collective that I co-founded with my friend Marley, but she stepped down because it got a lot of work for her. But now I have other board members a part of it, and it's still thriving. And a lot of the girls in that video were from the collective. So it was really cool too to have a lot of my friends and people I knew be a part of that. And I think at that point, I had seen the Shrill thing. And I said, I want to make a music video of this and make it a full thing. And it was sick.
Oh my God. I was watching both those videos, the I Love My Body video and then the pool party scene for sure, and Stereotype. Yeah, and Stereotype. I kept thinking, oh my God, they must have had so much fun doing this. Oh my God, it would have been so fun doing this. Like, just again, that many fat people like owning their bodies, having fun, playing with like fun pool toys. Like, it's just, I'm actually Toronto, which is where I live close to. There's a group that is doing a fat person pool party at the end of June. And I'm so excited to go because I've never been in like a lot of fat community, like where there's a lot of fat people gathered. I've never been to anything like that before, which is like shocking to me since, I've had 100 of these conversations, but like in person, I'm so excited for what that's going to feel like.
It's really hard to find those kinds of events and communities. And why I started one for artists, because I was being in New York and being a fat artist, it's very difficult to find other people that know what you're going through and can just relate to you on so many levels. And especially being at a fat pool party specifically, I think is something where I think one of the biggest traumas being fat as a child is going to the pool and going to the beach. For me, those were some of my scariest moments. And to actually be in a space where I can run around and be jiggling everywhere and not one person is judging and everyone is just living, that is something that is priceless. And it's what everyone else experiences who doesn't have to deal with that. So we get to experience it too. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, and you started the video that way too, with that young kind of teen looking girl sitting on a towel looking at like weight loss ads. And then you invite her over to the three of you fabulous bikini clad. I was like, oh, that's exactly it. That is the journey from, wearing shorts and a t-shirt, not wanting to like show any part of you at the beach to being, fully embracing of your body. And yeah.
Yeah.
And also, like, to me, what I see too, and what I'm hearing is like this idea of choosing who we spend our time with, being intentional around our community.
Oh, I love that, being intentional, because that is something that also, when I really made the switch in 2019, 2020, I actually unfollowed a lot of accounts that were triggering me, and social media, my song Pretty Insecurities talks about it, is so toxic. And then I discovered body positive creators and I started following them. And now my feed is so many fat babes embracing themselves. And I've made so many incredible friends. Like, oh, it just makes me emotional, the friendships I've made. And a lot of them were in the Love My Body video too. So something really special.
Absolutely. Yeah. I want to just do a or not a double check. I want to like touch back into the collective, because that's something that's really interesting. So what is it called? Curvy Artist Collective?
Yes.
So what is it? Because I think some people listening might be really interested. What do you do?
So the Curvy Artist Collective, you can follow us at Curvy Artist Collective. We also have a Facebook group, so you can join there, where you can connect with other artists. We take all artists, so whatever you identify as. I will say the main groups that we have are a lot of actors, singers, and models. But we have dancers, we have writers, we have musicians. So anybody who identifies as fat, plus size, curvy, whatever word you want to use, we also are very open to all the different words, because a lot of people, still have their own struggles with what word they choose to identify as. And we take basically any femme identifying. You also can be non-binary. And it's a community for you to bounce off ideas, collaborate with people. We repost you on our Instagram if you have a show coming up, or any release of a book, or your TV show, whatever it is. We can advertise it for you and just get it seen. We also kind of, where I would say we're pivoting more, because I've just gotten so busy as my career's grown, which is a good thing. But I also was feeling like, oh no, I'm not giving enough to CIC. CIC is the abbreviation. The big thing now we really focus on is something called the BOPO show. And it is the Body Positive show. I've hosted 3 now. And we've had 1 in New York, 2 in LA. And they're a night of body positivity and music. And we feature all different plus size artists. We usually have submissions where you can submit. So if you're a plus size singer-songwriter, or a fat singer-songwriter, wherever you identify as, and you are looking for performance opportunity, we don't have a date set right now, but we will be having one coming up soon. So you'll see that on our page. And they're really beautiful nights. It's just a big community. And yeah.
Oh my gosh. There's a group called Grief Cat, which is do you know Grief Cat? Do you know Annie and, yeah.
So I don't know them personally, but I did see they performed at FatCon, so I saw their stuff.
Okay, yeah, I was curious if there was like, I wonder if I'm gonna like maybe do some intros to make sure they know about you, because they are hilarious and brilliant. Yeah.
I saw like one of their videos and it was really funny, but I would love to meet them. Yeah,
you would actually. They're just like 2 bundles of joy. Like, they're so fun. Yeah, I could totally see. I can totally imagine you all hanging out. But I want to come too. So I'm just gonna like invite myself. Yay! Do you have like? Okay. Oh, I was going to ask you if you have a favorite song, but before that, I want to know what your creative process is like outside of I Love My Body, because that was kind of like built off of the TikTok remix. But what's your creative process like normally?
Yeah. So I will say I touched upon it a little bit, where a lot of my ideas do come to me. And I know people think that's crazy, I don't know. But, some people are like, what do you mean? I'm like, I don't know. I literally could be out somewhere. I'll get an idea. I record it immediately into my voice memos. And sometimes it could just be a melody. Sometimes it could just be a lyric idea. Sometimes it's a full chorus. And from there, I'll usually label it. I'll say what it was giving, what it was feeling. And then I'll usually have nights. I'm more of a night person where I'll go through things and I'll flesh out any ideas that I really feel strongly about and just write. I also go into a lot of sessions with other writers. So I'll bring them my ideas and we'll flesh those out together. But sometimes it really is me sitting at the piano with an idea and I just write and see what flows out of me. And yeah, I wish I had more to be like, yeah.
I love that because like there's this whole, at least in the writing world, which is what I'm most familiar with, this whole idea that like that creativity comes when you're super, super disciplined, as in ass and seat for, 5 hours a day. And it's like, and then, writers will talk to me and they're like, but I have a life and children. And like, how do I spend 5 hours a day writing? I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to call bullshit on it. Like that is whoever's doing that, they must have a partner or lots of help that takes care of like the rest of life. Because for most people, yeah, it's like at these moments where you're a little bit dreamy and things pop in, and there's actually like a whole brain process around why that happens, and it makes sense that it does. And that it's like kind of just, yeah, like following, we talk all the time about like following whatever is showing up, like allowing it to come through, follow it. I always say like follow the juiciness, like what is feeling juicy, where's the aliveness, and allow, and just trusting that that's what you're supposed to follow in those moments. And that might be 5 minutes, that might be 30 minutes, I don't know. But it's like trust. I think it's so rooted in trust.
I totally agree. And I would say my best songs, my best ideas have come when I've just let them come flow out of me in whatever state I'm in, wherever I'm at. It's actually hard for me to really sit down with no idea whatsoever and like force myself to write a song. I don't think I've ever really done that. Unless somebody gave me a brief and they said, can you write a song about this? Then, okay, that's a little helpful. But all the songs that I have out that are my songs are things that have come to me in real life and that I've, what's the word? Embraced and
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, birthed, brought it out. Yeah. Do you have a favorite song? Like, can you, like, are they all your babies or do you have favorites?
That's so hard. Okay. Can I say two?
Yeah, of course. Of course. You can say however many you want.
They're both ballads, which is hilarious. But I think that my two favorites are Paint Me. I just always freaking loved that song. I wrote that song in literally an hour, and I love Titanic, and it was inspired by Titanic, and I think that song healed the little me because I always wanted to be Rose in Titanic, and then I got to make myself Rose in Titanic as a fat Latina. So that's
oh, that's now my new favorite song. I love that story.
And I love singing it live. That's always a song when I sing it live that people like go nuts. And it really shows off my voice. And yeah, I love that song. So, that one. And I also really love my song Player's Fool. So that one, like I said, I love soul and I really wanted to make more music that was rooted in vintage soul vibes. You'll see my new EP will have some more of that. My next song coming out soon also. Yes. But Player's Fool, I wrote, and I think also a cool thing about this song is for a lot of fat identifying women, whatever you are, whatever you identify as, fat people, that this song is really real because I'm not even talking about being fat anywhere in the song, but the song is basically about me falling in love for the first time with somebody that loves me for me and treats me really, really well. And I think for so long as a fat girl, you are played, players full. A lot of guys just want to use you to have sex with and then bye, or they want to hide you and not be like proud that you're with them. And when I first met my boyfriend, when I was falling in love with him, I wrote this song because I was so confused that a guy was treating me right. And like, I didn't believe it. So, that's what that whole song's about. And it actually has like, I think my most streams, although Love My Body's competing with it right now. But, yeah, that song's very, very personal in my love life. And it's my first like real love song that's for real.
Yeah. Oh, and yay, boyfriend. Yay for like you getting to experience that because it's huge when that happens. Yeah. I've been lucky to experience it a few times myself where my body was just like, it was like I, as the whole person, was loved and my body was adored, but it wasn't like it didn't need to be a thing, And it's just, it does. It really is it feels like a privilege to be loved that way. Yeah. And it takes a certain kind of person to be able to love that way.
Mm. And it's something I think I never, ever thought I was going to have, which is so sad. But
yeah,
we're kind of taught that. And for it to actually happen.
Yeah.
My God, what?
I know, right? I know. Oh, yay. So I want to ask the final question, which is always about joy. So, Elle, what do you think joy is?
I think joy is finding peace in being authentically you through and through. I think when I finally am able to be me and I'm not thinking about what other people think about me and I'm not concerned with anybody's opinions, and I can get a bunch of hate comments and fatphobic remarks and all these things, but the fact that I'm able to shine and let my authenticity shine and not let any of those things affect me how they used to affect me, and I think that's joy.
Yeah. What percentage of your time do you live from that place? I'm laughing because I'm like, oh my God, you just said this beautiful comment. I'm like, now give me a percentage, joy. Joy percentage.
Ooh. Oh my gosh. That's hard.
Right? I know. Because I'm like, how do we live from I feel like my quest is like, how do I live more and more from that place of joy, like what you just described? And I'm always popped out of it. And then I like kind of sometimes struggle to find my way back. And then I'm popped out of it again. And then other times it just shows up. Like, what's it like how does it work for you?
I actually like really identify with that through and through. I'm always popping in and out. But one thing that I can say, which gets me a little emotional, but to say it is really, really nice, is that for so long, I was so popped out. And where I am at in my life right now, I'm the most popped in I've ever been. And maybe it's still like an 80-20 or a, 90-10 on a really good day, but it's way better than what it was in my past years where I was at a 50-50 or a 40. And I'm just really, really, really blessed that I'm able to like say that out loud and to be at that point in my healing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really powerful. And again, it goes against this idea that fat people are unhappy and lonely. And it's like, no, no, no. When we actually let go of diet culture, we become the happiest we've ever been. I certainly have experienced that. Yeah.
I look back at photos and I'm like, that girl, everyone would say, oh, she looks so healthy, but I actually was the most mentally and physically unhealthy.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, my binge eating disorder had me like up and down, up and down. And it was the exact same way looking at photos was like, oh God, like I remember the compliments and all, like, oh, you must be so happy. And I was like, no, I'm so fucking miserable. And I always felt like it was always about to disappear because I spent, decades weight cycling. So I just knew that the pattern would repeat itself. Yeah. And then now I don't weight cycle anymore. My weight is what it is. My body is what it is. And I get to live a lot of time from a place of joy. And it's like, God, I had it so wrong for so many decades.
Yeah. Wish I could have known earlier, but we're here now. We're here now.
Yeah. And you get to support others getting here with your work, with your words, with your songs, with your incredible, incredible music videos where we actually get to see fat bodies doing things. It's so incredible. You're such a positive influence and impact in the world, Elle, and I'm so happy you're doing what you do.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for having me on this and all that you do as well. So,
thanks. Before we go, I'd like to read a poem because poetry can reach our hearts in a different way. Poems can have us feel in a different way. And that's what this podcast is all about. Expanding our hearts, deepening our empathy, and inviting in joy. So each week, you get a new poem. I'm so excited that we have an artist like Elle representing body positivity. She is so genuine and dedicated to her craft. It reminded me of this poem by Joy Harjo called For Keeps, in the way that Elle talks about how her creative life comes to her. And in this poem, I really feel the awe of the mystery and the magic of not just creativity, but like everything that surrounds us, and that there are people amongst us who can tap into that and see that. And I think Elle is one of those people. So that's why I chose For Keeps for this episode. Here it is. Sun makes the day new. Tiny green plants emerge from earth. Birds are singing the sky into place. There is nowhere else I want to be but here. I lean into the rhythm of your heart to see where it will take us. We gallop into a warm southern wind. I link my legs to yours and we ride together toward the ancient encampment of our relatives. Where have you been, they ask, and what has taken you so long? That night, after eating, singing, and dancing, we lay together under the stars. We know ourselves to be part of mystery. It is unspeakable. It is everlasting. It is for keeps. Thank you for joining me today. My hope is that you're feeling a little less alone and a little more seen. So until the next episode, you can find me on Instagram at fatjoy.life, on YouTube at youtube.com/@fatjoy, and on Substack at fatjoy.substack.com. And please do check out the episode notes for how you can connect with my amazing guest and for the links to the poem. All right, lovely. I am sending you off with my best wishes for an abundantly fat joy day, and we'll talk again soon.